Do we spare the rod and save the child? Well, the latest figures from the South African Council of Educators shows that corporal punishment is still very much alive in some schools across the country. Now, you might be surprised to learn that this form of discipline was outlawed 26 years ago. Educationists say while they don't condone corporal punishment, they've noticed a marked increase in ill discipline by pupils after the COVID-19 pandemic. Our reporter Ayesha Ismail takes a look.
South Africa's teachers have a lot to deal with, often with little to no support. Psychologists say high levels of aggression and violence in the country has meant many children are socialized to deal with conflict in an aggressive manner. But they join teacher unions and education authorities in saying violence from teachers is never the answer. The Western Cape Education Department says it's not surprised to hear its province sees the highest number of cases. They say this is thanks in no small part to its strong culture of reporting cases.
We have got several mechanisms in terms of and protocols that teachers and schools must follow in terms of reporting incidents of corporal punishment or any abuse or assault of a child. It is in our Children's Act and it is required by teachers and educators and staff to report it immediately. And we have various mechanisms such as our Safe Schools hotline where reports can be done anonymously.
She says support and programs are freely available to teachers and pupils. Hammond says teachers also battle to deal with children involved in gangs and drugs.
But then there is also the other aspect of it where a teacher feels helpless. We have had a lot of disciplinary issues in our schools of late, especially coming out of COVID. We are seeing an increase in disciplinary issues and behavioural issues.
Hammond says the Western Cape has investigated all 85 cases and responded appropriately.
Codes of conduct tell children what they cannot do all the time. You know what children are like? They're like breaking rules. So why are we telling them what they cannot do? We need to think differently and have a code of values. Schools will be important, principals will be important. We've got to take a whole of society approach. You can't just ask the school to impose discipline on a child. It starts at home, it's in the church, in the mosque, in the temple, in the synagogue.
Educational psychologist at the University of the Western Cape, Trevor Moodley, says children frequently act out at school what they experience at home and in their communities. He says poverty, unresolved trauma and emotional challenges are major factors.
Then you have a teaching workforce that's really put under lots of stress in terms of meeting the needs of all the learners. In many instances with very limited resources, not only material resources, but I'm also talking about psychological resources and support. So you have a system that's overburdened with demands.
He says teachers are suffering from burnout and they too need support, and they're not getting enough of that.
We tend to focus quite often on learners, which are the primary focus in education, but we also have human beings called teachers that we need to take care of.
Ayesha Ismail, Cape Town.